Hello, welcome to the Lunch and Chat with Leslie podcast. I'm your host, Leslie Parker. Thank you for tuning into this live, informative, educational, and entertaining podcast that I air every Tuesday at 7 p.m. This innovative talk show was put together for you, the community, and anyone that wants to connect with me. I'm just so happy you decided to stop by tonight to watch this segment about wine pairing. I selected this topic because I started thinking about how often we go out to dinner to order food and wine, but we never think about what pairs with what. So, we like what we like, of course. Obviously, if you like sweet wine, if you like dry wine, you typically select what you like. Well, hopefully, after I go through this segment, I will share with you some various tips for pairing wine and food. You will have a better understanding about enhancing the flavor of your food with wine. So, when you pair something together, or if you put a show together or something like that, it creates synergy. Well, that's what food and wine pairing does. It creates synergy. And the wine and the food combination is a total experience, superior, they call it gastronomic effect that you have within your stomach. So, but on the flip side, now, if you choose a wine that doesn't pair well with the flavor of your food, it can destroy the overall taste. So before I even talk to you a little bit more about wine pairing, I want to share with you about the history of wine pairing. Wine has been paired throughout the centuries, and although winemaking may have go back as far as 8,000 years ago, recent archaeologists find that a place of origin for wine pairing in a large scale was in 4100 BC. In those early times, wine was paired with food since it was safer to drink than local water. Isn't it amazing? Well, the main objective to wine pairing with food is to enhance the dining experience, as I mentioned to you before. And in many cultures, wine making and culinary experiences evolved over many years. Now, the subjective nature of taste makes it possible to drink most any kind of wine of any kind with food that's enjoyable or gives you an enjoyable experience. The first thing to consider, of course, when you're pairing is your own preference. As drinking a type of wine you don't care for isn't a pleasure, to experience that wine pairing effect. Now, I'm going to go over 7 items for you. I'm going to give you first some tips for pairing wine and food. And then I'm going to talk about the flavor pairing methods, then the wine pairing taste components, then basic taste components in wine, and then I'm going to compare different types of wine and food that pairs well. And finally, I'm going to talk to you about wine and cheese pairing. You're going to find that very interesting. But when I go over the tips pairing wine, I did get this information, some of it anyway, from an author. Her name is Madeline Puckett. She was selected as award-winning author for Wine Communicator of the Year. And she created this magazine, this information where you can go online to get it. It's called Wine Folly. So I'm going to first go over the tips for you. There are 9 tips for wine pairing. The wine should be more acidic than the food. The wine should be sweeter than the food, and the wine should have the same flavor intensity as the food. Red wines, they pair best with bold flavored meats like, burgers and steaks. White wines, they pair best with your fish or your chicken. And bitter wines, they are balanced with fat. It's better to match the wine with the sauce than with the meat. More often than not, white, sparkling, and rose wines create a contrasting pairing, and their red wines will create a congruent pairing. And I'm going to go over that with you. So I'm going to share a slide with you. So bear with me. Okay. I hope you can see this okay. All right. So this is a slide I put together. It's tips for pairing wine. And the flavored pairing methods that I spoke with you about, there are congruent pairing and there's complementary pairing. Congruent pairing is when you have many shared compounds, like beef and mushroom. You can see how those two work together well. But believe it or not, the complementary pairing have few shared compounds, but they work together very well. So that's flavored pairing methods. There are, as I mentioned to you before, the congruent pairing versus the contrasting pairing. Contrasting pairing, it creates that balance by contrasting the tastes and the flavors. And congruent pairing creates the balance by amplifying the shared flavor compounds. Wine pairing also have what's called taste components. With red wine, as you can see, the big circles or the different circle sizes, red wine tends to be more bitter. White sparkling rose wine has more acid or is more acidity with that. And then with the sweet wine, it has more sweetness to it. So that's the wine pairing taste components for that. Now I'm going to go into the basic taste components in wine. Now, wine lacks three tastes, and that's fatness, spiciness, and saltiness, as you see here. But it does contain acidity, sweetness, and bitterness in various degrees. So here are the three different types of wines. You have your red wines, which have more bitterness. Your white wines and your sparkling wines have more acidity. Then you have your sweet wines, which have more sweetness. Wine is the wine light, or you question yourself, or is it bold? Well, here are a few examples of different types of wine. So you have Sauvignon Blanc, which is a light bolded, but it does have higher acidity. Chardonnay has more body, but it's usually not too acidic. Pinot Noir is lighter, bolded, but it is a red wine and it will be bitter. Then you have your Cabernet Sauvignon Blanc. That is Sauvignon, I'm sorry. And that is more full body and it does have a high bitterness taste to it. Here are the different groups to talk to you about, like when you have the sparkling wine, it's good with the salad, the fish, the chicken, and your red wine is good with the bold red, whether it's good with the red meat and medium red wine. That's good with like lamb chops and some other things there. Then you have your white wine, which you have your seafood, and your dry wine with pasta. Now, I'm going to let you look at this chart here. It talks about the food pairing with champagne or sparkling wine. You have fried chicken, champagne, or sparkling wine can be very delicious and salient pairing with steak, fried potatoes, onions, caviar, oysters, and so forth. Also, macaroni and cheese and creamy soup. Then there's a match red wine with food. You have you can eat that with a slow roast lamb, sizzling sausage, steak, roast duck legs, sizzled sausage pasta, goat cheese, etc. Then if you match it with the white wine with food, you can do the roasted chicken drumsticks with parsley garlic, roasted pork with apples. That sounds good already. I'm hungry already thinking about it. Goat cheese, soy duck, and so forth. Now, these links down here, I shared them in the chat. So I'm not sure if you got them already, but you can click on the links and you can get this information as well for your own use. All right, now this is just a chart I put together. I want to start talking about the wine and the cheese pairing. But as you can see, it's just an illustration. It kind of shows you that your champagne, sparkling wine, those are the cheeses that work well with it. With your white wine, your rose, your reds, and your dessert wine. But I will get into more detail with it. Okay, so what you're looking at here is the hard cheese. You have three types of hard cheese that pairs well with Cabernet Sauvignon, and you have, it pairs well, also for Zinfandel and Pinot Noir. Then you have your semi-hard cheese, your cheddar, your Gouda, baby Swiss. It pairs well with Pinot Noir, Pinot Gris, and also Sauvignon Blanc for that cheese. You have a semi-soft cheese, Havarti fresh mozzarella. I think it's pronounced Jarlsberg, but it pairs well with Cabernet Sauvignon, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and Zinfandel. And if you like soft cheeses like Brie and Boursin, that would pair well with Champagne, Riesling, and Merlot. And then your goat cheeses, that is pronounced, I think it's pronounced Chevre. This is really good with Pinot Grigio, Sauvignon Blanc, and Chardonnay. Then there's blue cheese and Brie. This cheese pairs well with Zinfandel, Chardonnay, Merlot, and Riesling. So I'm going to go back with you for a second, but I want to thank you for watching at least. I wasn't going to keep you long. You can always, again, tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. to my new innovative talk show that's for you in the community. And you can also find me on Facebook and YouTube. So I'm going to stop sharing this for a second. And give me 1 second here. Okay, I'm back. Well, I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen so far. I do have some things I want to talk to you about that's exciting that I want to share with you. Coming up this Friday, my daughter and I have decided we closed the boutique. We had a boutique and we had it for a year, a little bit over a year, but because of COVID, we took a huge hit. So, we started to pivot, reinvent ourselves, and just keep going. I always tell people to keep going no matter what. So we're opening up a sip and paint business, and there you'll be allowed to, you can schedule any kind of event that you're thinking about having, host your event with us. The name of the company, I'm going to share that with you through some slides. It's called Colorful Creations. And Kelly and I, who's my daughter, we thought about it really hard and said, what do we want to do? We want to bring something to the community. We want to have fun, want to heal, relax. So I hope that you'll find it very interesting. But after the 15th, we will be open for business. And the number for that, I'll give you that as well. But I want to share with you a couple of just the pictures that we took. Give me a second. All right, so if you want to find more information out about Colorful Creations Sip and Paint, you can call 410-352-7257, or you can email us at Colorful Creations, and Creations is with a K, Kreations, and that's the number 4U at gmail.com. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this segment so far. It was a very informative segment for myself. I want to learn more and more about wine pairing. And if you want to go back and look at it, the broadcast will still be on. You can go back on the Lunch and Chat with Leslie show in case you missed it. But for now, I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you next week. But before I see you next week, I have a couple comments. I always try to communicate with my viewers. Well, hello. Good evening. Good evening, cuz. How are you doing? Letty Haynes, she's a great supporter. She always comes on. I can't wait to see you this Friday at the grand opening. We're going to have a great time. I got some special things in store. Plenty good food, plenty of wine, plenty of what, you name it. We're going to have it. Thank you so much. And we have Donetta. Hey, Donetta, how are you doing? Great. I hope your day went well. I look forward to seeing you as well. So make sure I wanted to tell my viewers too, Letty, make sure you dress comfortably. You can dress whatever you want. I'm going to have aprons for you guys. But when you come, we're going to have plenty of wine. I've already poured myself a glass of wine, a red wine. Very good. So make sure you are ready and prepared to come. Oh, great. Letty said that she's going to be there. Excellent. And let's see, we have Donetta. Donetta's excited. Great. Well, I'm just so glad that you two ladies did stop by and take a look at the show. Hopefully it was informative and you were able to at least take some of the information back with you and, just share it. I always say, share it with somebody else. Sharing is caring. And remember to make every day count. So I'll see my guests that appeared on the show. There also will be attending the grand opening for Colorful Creations Sip and Paint Center. And I also want to thank my viewers. And I will look forward to talking to you guys next Tuesday. Take care and you have a great evening.